Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another video. I hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about how often should you draw, and kind of, I would say part of that is how long it takes to quote unquote get good at drawing. I would say this is a question that is fairly commonly asked, especially among newer artists, and especially those who are going more of the self-taught route like I am, because you don't really have like a curriculum plan, or really I would say like a proper plan for success. You're just kind of doing it and hoping you figure it out and hoping it works, which can be very scary, but I would say also very rewarding once you get, I would say, kind of to the other side of that first big hump of learning how to draw. So in this video, I'm going to do my best to give advice and go over some lessons I've learned in my journey on when I was first learning how to draw. And the first thing there is, it's not about quantity of how much you're drawing, it's about quality. So, 8 hours every day of drawing or studying will, I would say, most definitely, unless you're just like some insane grinding person, it'll burn you out. Like, don't follow those videos that like say, draw 8 hours a day, like study all the time. Like, you're gonna, I would say, like, basically, burn yourself to a crisp doing that for most people. If you can do that, great, go do it, have fun, more power to you. But I would say like targeted sessions of study, I would say from my personal experience, like 1 to 3 hours is probably mostly what you need, and make your study sessions like challenging, but also something you can grasp. So like if you're first learning to draw the human form, don't do like a complex position or pose. If you don't even know how to draw the human form in the first place, maybe you need to start out drawing like boxes in 3D space. Like, just kind of, I would say, have a wealth of input on this of like what you need to be doing. Read books. A great one that I use to learn anatomy is called like Morpho. I'll put it on screen somewhere, which probably is definitely not the best book, but it's just the first anatomy book I saw, and it worked out for me. I didn't really read it, I just kind of drew the pictures in it. Everybody has their own learning process and what they want to do. I would say the most important thing is to find joy in it, learn to love the mundane and the grind of it, and I think this will really teach you to see the world like an artist. Like, something I really realized early on is like, if you can draw the human face, you can probably also draw an animal's face, or vice versa. Like, humans and animals have very similar facial structures. It's just like the eyes are slightly moved sometimes, or like obviously the snout is kind of extended sometimes, but you'll learn to notice these things, and I think falling in love with those like kind of minute details of the world is what will really keep you going. And if you can't do that, then I would honestly say like, maybe this isn't really right for you. And I say that very hesitantly because I don't know you, but in my opinion, like, if you can't learn to love the mundane and the minutia of the world, then it'll be very difficult for you long term to enjoy the grind and like learn to love to study, because I feel like every time I do study, I find out something new, even if it's really small, and it's just like that kind of way of kind of learning how the world it works and is structured, just kind of really keeps you going. And I would say, going off of that, like, it'll really feel like this journey is endless, because it is. And I feel like I say this a lot, but it also isn't. Like, you will have, I would say, my experience, like 1 to 4 to 5 year grind fest, essentially. And I mean that within the context of this video, like not grinding 8 hours a day every day, like doing your best to have targeted study sessions, all that kind of stuff. But then after that, like, you probably will start to pick things up. It might be 10 years for you, it might be 20, it could be 2, everything will be different for every person. But my main point with this is like, don't worry about how good you are tomorrow. Like, focus on how good you are today and try and improve how you are today, and little by little, doing that, you will eventually get to the place you want to be. And I say that like as someone who's not exactly where they want to be yet artistically, and I don't know if I ever will be. Like, it's a constant improvement, and I mean that in a, like, I would say, joyful way, not in like a, oh, I'm not there yet kind of way. But I think really focusing on what you can do right now and what you can improve right now keep you from getting burnt out in a really big way. And I would say also, like, don't worry about style when you're starting out. Like, style will come. A lot of people say like style is how you draw right now, and I really agree with that. Your style will change, I would say, almost daily, especially if you're just a beginner, because you don't really know what the heck you're doing. And eventually you'll get to a place, like, I would say found my style like last year, after like 4 or 5 years of grinding at this. So like, and I think it's still changing, you know, like I'm still finding ways to improve it and shift it. Don't really worry about that at all, especially if you're just starting out. Like, it is not as important as people make it seem, and it is kind of just who you are. So like, just be yourself, do your thing, and don't really worry about being something more than that. And it's also okay to like take this journey slow. And I would say with that, just don't be lazy. You know, if this is something you really want to do, you know, it does require, I would say, a certain level of discipline and commitment. I do agree with the sentiment of drawing every day. Some days I do not draw, you know, like if I want to take a day off, I take a day off. But for the most part, I try and do something every day, even if that's drawing like a head on a sketchbook page, and that's it. You know, like, I don't necessarily think you should need to like fill sketchbook pages or like fill 5 sketchbook pages every day. I think that's great if you want to do that, but like at the same time, I would say it's important to just keep up the discipline and the habit of doing this, because it can be easy to fall out of. There was, I would think, like 2 years ago, a solid 6 month to almost year gap where I just didn't draw, which I think was also weirdly like a time of growth for me artistically. I was in a place where I just didn't want to, and that's okay. Like, you will fall in and out of these like patterns of I would say productivity in your artistic life and artistic journey, and that's perfectly normal. Like, sometimes you just won't want to do it, and you probably shouldn't if you really don't. And like, if you're not finding joy in it, you know, take a break. But also at the same time, like, if you have a goal and like you want to do something with this, like, don't get too comfortable in that, I guess. And you can kind of figure out what that means for yourself and what it means for your life. And part of kind of going back to the beginning of the video, like if you are studying various parts of the human body, or studying environments, or you know, whatever it is, draw what you like. Don't feel forced to draw all these random poses like that you see on Pinterest or something. Like, if you like drawing fantasy art, maybe draw like a knight in like a striking pose with a sword, while also studying the way the shoulder connects to the bicep, or like, you know, that kind of a thing. So just to keep it interesting to you, I would say don't fall out of love with art at the expense of what you're making, if that makes sense. And lastly here, like, you are going to improve at your own pace whether you want to or not. I find that in the beginning, you are going to experience a lot of improvement very quickly. I would say the first 6 months to a year is like an improvement fest. Like, your skill level will shoot up rapidly, and then you will hit a freaking brick wall. At least I did. So, you know, be prepared for that. It's different for everybody. You know, you might not hit that brick wall. Like, you are just going to improve at your own pace, and it's kind of that way whether you want to or not. You have your own, I would say, like, rhythm of living life and of making art. And I think you should trust that and just go with that. Kind of to close here, it is I would say there's lots of highs and lows on the journey, and the highs are very high, the lows can be pretty low, like when you're just feeling crappy about yourself, like seeing what everyone else can do. But it's important to like not focus on that and just focus on what you can do, you know, right now yourself, and just kind of don't worry about the noise and focus on your own rhythms and pace of how you like to make art, and like what you like to make is the most important thing. But hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, feel free to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And yeah, I'll see you later.